Section 2 contains some more provisions relating to applicability of this Act. We have already come across some provisions in Section 1 itself. Section 1 talks about applicability of this Act to persons living outside India. As per Section 1, the Hindu Marriage Act shall apply to persons living outside India if two conditions are satisfied. That person must be a Hindu and that person must be domiciled in India. From Section 1, we can say that the Hindu Marriage Act applies to any person living outside India if he is a Hindu and also he is domiciled in India. Section 2 talks about the applicability of the Hindu Marriage Act to persons living in India. The first subsection contains 3 clauses. As per clause A, this act applies to any person who is a Hindu by religion, including a Veer Saiv, a Lingayat, or a follower of Brahma Samaj, Prarthana Samaj, or Arya Samaj. As per clause B, this act applies to any person who is a Buddhist by religion, who is a Jain by religion, or who is a Sikh by religion. As per clause C, the Hindu Marriage Act applies to any other person domiciled in India who is not a Muslim, Christian, Parsi or Jew by religion, unless it is proved that he would not have been governed by Hindu law in these matters if this act had not been passed. We shall now summarize and analyze the provisions of these 3 clauses. Firstly, the Hindu Marriage Act applies to every Hindu by religion living in India, anywhere in India, to every Buddhist by religion living anywhere in India, to every Jain by religion living anywhere in India, and to every Sikh by religion living anywhere in India. Secondly, the Hindu Marriage Act does not apply to a Muslim by religion, to a Christian by religion, to a Parsi by religion, and to a Jew by religion wherever he is living. I repeat, this act applies to every Hindu, Buddhist, Jain or Sikh by religion. This act does not apply to a Muslim, Christian, Parsi and Jew by religion. The next question now, does this act apply to a person who is not a Muslim, Christian, Parsi or Jew, who is not a Hindu, Buddhist, Jain or Sikh by religion? Any person who does not follow any of these 8 religions. Does HMA apply to such a person? Clause C says, yes, it applies to a person who is not a Hindu, Buddhist, Jain or Sikh by religion, who is not a Muslim, Christian, Parsi or Jew by religion, provided that person is domiciled in India. However, this act shall not apply to such a person if it is proved that he would not have been governed by Hindu law in these matters if this act had not been passed. So, as far as subsection 1 is concerned, persons living in India can be put in 3 groups. All Hindus, Buddhists, Jains and Sikhs living in India are put in the first group. All Muslims, Christians, Parsis and Jews living in India are put in the second group. And all other persons living in India are put in the third group. This act applies to all persons in the first category. This act does not apply to any person in the second category. As far as the third category of persons is concerned, it applies to any person in that category only if he is domiciled in India. And even then, if he can prove that he would not have been governed by Hindu law in these matters, if this act had not been passed, then HMA shall also not apply to such a person. The next question is, who is a Hindu by religion? The answer is in 3 parts. Firstly, any child, legitimate or illegitimate, both of whose parents are Hindus by religion. Secondly, any child, legitimate or illegitimate, one of whose parents is a Hindu by religion and who is brought up as a member of the tribe, community or family of such parent. And thirdly, any person who is a convert or reconvert to Hindu religion. Thus, any child born to parents who are Hindus by religion will always be a Hindu by religion. But as far as a child born to those parents, one of whom only is a Hindu by religion, the child will be Hindu by religion only if he is brought up as a member of the tribe, community or family of such parent. That is the parent who is Hindu by religion. Similar definitions shall be applicable to a Buddhist by religion, a Jain by religion and a Sikh by religion. The first subsection of section 2 contains provisions on applicability of the HMA. The second subsection contains provisions on non-applicability of this act. The second subsection provides that the Hindu Marriage Act shall not apply to members of any scheduled tribe unless the central government by notification otherwise directs. Thus, in general and without anything else, the HMA shall not apply to any member of any scheduled tribe, regardless of what religion he follows. This act shall not apply to him even if he is a Hindu by religion, even if he is a Buddhist by religion or a Jain by religion or a Sikh by religion. As far as a member of any scheduled tribe is concerned, his religion is not material. If there is no notification from the central government in this regard, the HMA shall not apply to any member of any scheduled tribe. However, if there is a notification from the central government applying the provisions of the HMA to any member of any scheduled tribe, then of course the HMA shall apply to such members of such scheduled tribes. Subsection 3 tells us the meaning of the word Hindu. As far as the Hindu Marriage Act is concerned, Hindu is a person to whom this act applies even though he is not a Hindu by religion. Thus, as far as HMA is concerned, Hindu is different from a Hindu by religion. We have seen from subsection 1 that this act may apply even to that person who is not a Hindu by religion, who is not a Buddhist by religion, who is not a Jain by religion, who is not even a Sikh by religion. Such a person will also be known as Hindu as far as this act is concerned. Similarly, a member of a scheduled tribe in respect of whom the central government has issued a notification under the second subsection shall be known as Hindu for the purposes of this act regardless of what religion he actually follows. In terms of subsection 1, this act may apply to non-Hindus also. Such a person shall also be termed as Hindu for the purposes of this act.